What up, y'all? What up, y'all? We are back with another New York Mets video. Professor Angry John with another video for the New York Mets coming to you, and another offseason video that we have. And before we get into this one, just want to say thank you all for all the support that we've been giving us as we're chasing the 2,000 subscriber count and whatnot. And also, we cannot wait. We have plenty more videos coming out. The live streams will return next week. Don't you worry, guys. Don't you worry. And in this video, right, we're going to talk about we talked about starting pitching. We talked about some designated hitter options, right? The Mets have made some moves since the last video that I've done. But nevertheless, we're going to get into some bullpen arm options in the mix for what the New York Mets can do. And I will say this, right? There was a report out tonight. This is now per Andy Martino, so take it with a grain of salt. Sometimes he's right, not all the time he's right. So sometimes he's wrong. But apparently, he reported that that the Mets are only willing to spend a max of $10 million more after all the free agents they have gotten this offseason. So I don't know the truth to that. I don't know if he's that's credible enough. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't want to bash him, but I also don't want to guess what Steve Cohen's pocket is of how much he wants to spend. He hasn't been willing to spend on any big free agents this offseason, except going all in for Yamamoto, which we all know he failed. But nevertheless, that is a very, we're going to have to wait and see kind of subject. So nevertheless, I got in this video 3 bullpen arms that the New York Mets should target or should sign in order to improve this bullpen. Now, remember, the New York Mets bullpen, one of the worst in the league last year. I mean, we all know some of the names that were on this roster and staff that I totally bashed, or I totally was just dissatisfied once they were brought into the game, whether it be a Jeff Brigham, whether it be a Trevor Gott, whether it be a fan favorite on this channel, Dominic Leone. So, and there's plenty of others. I mean, Steven Nogosek, John Curtis, just a horrific list of arms, not a lot of arm talent. Well, Stearns has gotten some arm talent, but I feel like he could use 1 or 2 more pieces in that pen if he wanted to go spend it. Now, it was also reported from Martino that the bullpen is the area of concern. We saw the reports this morning. Some guys they were interested in were Wandy Peralta, Brent Suter, John Brebbia, just some guys to name off the top of the head, top of the market for that New York Mets bullpen. Okay, I don't think they're going after a guy like an Aroldis Chapman or Josh Hader. Guys that throw really hard. Can strike out 3 in a row, but can also have some command issues, right? So I don't think that's what they're going to go after. In terms of that, and also the age isn't on their side. But I do have 3 guys that I would like to see them go after or, attempt to bring on this roster. So the first guy up, right, there was one of the guys listed in the report today, and that is Brent Suter. That's right. Brent Suter is the first guy I have on the list. Now, the reason I really like Brent Suter, right, he is, he had a really good season with the Rockies. And for anyone that doesn't know with the Rockies, right, if you're pitching in a higher altitude, the ball's going to carry out further, okay? So, if you could put up good pitching numbers in that park, well, then imagine what you can do in a park where there's less when you're at regular level and you're not at a high altitude, high elevation, because the ball's going to carry out less, okay? I think now someone can, in the comment section, can tell me if I'm incorrect on this, but I think it travels out 10% more in Coors Field, because that's really the effect it has on all pitchers, right? Coors Field is the place where it's, it impacts hitters greatly and impacts pitching poorly. So there is that. And, before that, he spent this past season with the Rockies, but look where he spent previously to that, the previous seasons, 2016 to 2022, he was a Milwaukee Brewer. He was a David Stearns guy, a guy that at one point was a starter, but then he got transitioned to the bullpen. So he can eat innings, and he also, has some familiarity with David Stearns. And, we've seen David Stearns want to bring in guys. He already made the trade with the Brewers to get Adrian Hauser and Tyrone Taylor. So he's bringing in guys that have some familiarity and comfortability with him, guys he trusts. And, you look at some of the numbers here, right? So Suter had a 3.38 ERA last season with the Rockies. Well, guess what? The expected ERA was at a 3.18. So it actually, his ERA was supposed to be better than what it was. It might have just been a little hindered, just a tad, by Coors Field, right? So that is a good sign to see if you're a Mets fan that the ERA is there. The WHIP is also, considering it's Coors Field, it was at a 1.30. Again, that's another little bit of an elevated number, right? So, in seasons past, you look at him, right? You see this guy in the 120s, 1 teens, right? And you hope that 1.3 is kind of just not an aberration and not really the true Brent Suter that you're getting, right? Because I don't think that to be the case, and I think that is deeply affected by that. And now, in terms of Brent Suter, he's got a fastball, changeup, and a slider mix, right? And you put him next to you put him in that bullpen with Brooks Raley, right? That's going to be two good lefties in that bullpen because Brooks Raley is the only other lefty that is going to get some quality innings pitched in that Mets bullpen, along if they go after a Brent Suter, right? And some more things on Brent Suter, right? You look at some of the even more advanced analytics, right? He's not a hard thrower. The percentile for fastball velocity is bottom 1%. So he's not a, if you can hit soft tossing lefties, well, then this guy is the guy you want to face. But however, he doesn't give up a hard percent contact, like barrel percentage and hard hit rate. Look at this. Average exit velocity, 100 percentile. Barrel percentage, 97 percentile. Hard hit rate, 99th percentile. So you see, even though he's not a hard thrower, he still doesn't give up many clean quality knocks from guys. So that is good to see. He also has a very tricky arm slot, which David Stearns has shown that he's going to get guys with either, tricky arm slots or, disguise the ball well or just have good stuff in general. So he wants to get a mix of different kind of pitchers. And I think, Brent Suter can be a guy that can make it tricky for hitters to get quality hits, and to limit damage as much as possible. So that is the first guy on the list that I would like to see the New York Mets go after, right? Now, the next guy, it's actually more of a reunion. And I didn't really think of it originally to beginning of the offseason, but then I said, you know what? He did it great last year. And number 2 on the list is David Robertson. That's right. He was here last year as a New York Met. They traded him at the deadline to the Miami Marlins for some prospects. And you know what? Since that was only a 1-year deal, they signed him. Heck, they could do it again. They could easily do it again. Now, he was visibly upset, but you got to remember, folks, that was Billy Epler who traded him. All right. Robertson did love playing for Buck Showalter, so he doesn't have that connection anymore. And he did want to remain a New York Met, as he was visibly upset with the when being asked about it during the media. He was the first of many dominoes to fall, after him, whether it's Scherzer, Verlander, whoever it may be, right? So, but you look at him, he can be the good thing is last year they signed him up to be a setup man. And Edwin Diaz, unfortunately, we know he got hurt, but he's proven he can be a closer or a setup man. He's proven that in both roles, right? There's been times, remember his days back with the Yankees or back with the White Sox, even, other teams, he's been a closer at times, but he's also a bit of a Swiss Army knife and can do other things, right? Which is good because you want versatile pitchers. You want pitchers that can pitch in high leverage situations, and David Robertson has shown that. Now, David Robertson last year had a 3.03 ERA total, but I want you to look at this. When he was a New York Met, his ERA was at a 2.05. When he was a Miami Marlin, he was at a 5.06. So, that was really inflated. Maybe he didn't have the best pitching coach there in Miami. Maybe didn't like what he was doing down there, but he was just, he was also all over the place there, walking a lot more guys. I think his whip with the Marlins was like half a percentage higher because his whip as a Met was at a 1 flat. His whip as a Marlin was a 1.59. So you look at that and you say, wow, like that's a big discrepancy there. And the good thing about David Robertson, right, he is really, he's one of those right-handers where he's not going to get bitten by the lefties. You have to sometimes bring in lefties for specific guys. Well, look at this. Versus left-handed hitters last year, right? Only hitting 226 against him, right? And only slugging 357. That's not bad numbers at all. And I think that is perfect a perfect guy to bring back if he wants to come back. There is that big if. The cutter is really great for for David Robertson. Okay, that's really was his bread and butter last year, as we saw it, as the fastball run value, 94th percentile, with 14, right? But it's the breaking ball that really hurt. The slider needs to be worked on a lot, in my opinion. He's also got, so he's got to work on that slider, right? And if he can do that, he'd be the perfect pitcher. But again, he has to be if he wants to come back. But you can definitely sign me up for him. I don't think he would cost much at age 38. And again, if the Mets, it doesn't work out this year, you could literally sign him and trade him for even more prospects. So then again, you can do something there with a David Robertson. And the final guy on this list, the guy that I wouldn't mind them targeting, that would be a Jordan Hicks. All right. So he's a little bit different than these guys because, first off, I want to point out the age discrepancy. Suter and Robertson are both in their mid to late 30s. Jordan Hicks is 27 years old. So he can be a part of your future going forward, too. Right. And, the first thing you got to mention about him, right? And this is a bit of a negative. It's sometimes the consistency and the injury issues, right? So not only did he miss the 2020 season because he elected not to play in the COVID year, but he also, I believe he had Tommy John. He missed some time in 2021, or it was one of those years, if I'm not mistaken. But he has had some arm issues in the past, so he elected not to play. Or not the elected, he couldn't play because of the arm issues that he had. So he does have a bit of an injury history. Now, the good thing with him, right? So here's what I want to point out. You want to look at why Jordan Hicks is sought after. Well, the fastball velocity is in the 100 percentile. He averages his fastball around 100 over 100 miles per hour at 100.1. He is probably one of the hardest throwers in the game. He's a guy that can go up to 103, 104 on the gun. I've seen it when he was pitching for the Cardinals and the Blue Jays last year, right? And I feel like he kind of got his juice back once he kind of got to a playoff team, because you look at the numbers, right? When he was at St. Louis, it was at a 3.67 ERA. Not bad. But then, it was the opposite of David Robertson. When he got to Toronto, he was at a 2.63 ERA, okay? And he was just being back to his usual self, to when he was good in his early part of his career, right? In fact, I think it was the best stretch he ever had once he left the Cardinals. Again, a lot of Cardinals pitchers weren't doing good last year. You see some of them leave and, get some juice back, right? Sometimes that happens when you're not in a playoff hunt and then you go to a team that is in a playoff hunt. That just happens with some guys, right? Different coaches get in your head. They change your mechanics. And that seems to be the case with Jordan Hicks there, a guy that could also, despite the fact that he's had some arm issues, maybe that's a good thing in terms of his arm, not falling off, because he hasn't he's finally been able to throw the amount of innings that teams are looking for, right? He threw 65 innings total in 2023, 61 the year before that. So maybe those arm issues are in the past from him, right? But another good thing, right? Jordan Hicks, he is a strikeout artist, right? 11.10 strikeouts per 9 innings, right? That's always something you really want to see, a guy that can put away batters. 28% of batters he faced last year, he struck out. So Jordan Hicks is going to blow fastballs by you, right? Now, the walk percentage is at 11%. That could go down a little, okay, because, it's better than some of his past numbers, right? He was at 13% the year before that. But nevertheless, you want to see that number go down. You want to see him have control because he has the stuff. He's got the fastball that'll blow right by you, right? And he's also got the changeup and the slider, which he'll occasionally throw, but it's mainly a slider, sometimes a changeup. But nevertheless, guys, thank you guys for watching this. Make sure you go hit that damn like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on those post notifications for more videos, all right? We want to see the growth, and we all want to thank you for all your help. Remember, we got plenty of more content coming out with the videos, live streams. We also got the Senior Bowl coverage at the end of January, early February, so we'll be down there, hosting in that press box for y'all, all right? We'll be interviewing the players, doing all that good stuff. We'll give you even more details when we come back and whatnot. But Thank you again for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one.